Well, I'm gonna get one moment.
Can you hear me there, Sheriff?
You can, Judge. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing this afternoon?
Fine, thank you.
I just want to make sure y'all can hear me.
Sorry.
Judge. Fine, sir.
I guess we can get it going. If we can be, I guess we can do the Pledge of Allegiance and then we can, proceed. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance before this Grievance Committee. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Allegiance to the Texas one flag, one and indivisible. You may be seated. Okay. How's everyone doing? Okay. Thank you all for,
Good, Judge.
thank you for returning back after your lunch. Been a busy morning. Anyone that would like to come before the court at this time that's not on the agenda, or that would like to address the court before we proceed? Okay, I believe so. So do we, who do we have? Mr. Guerra, what is required of a quorum for this grievance committee? We have 4 persons present, the district clerk, county tax assessor and collector, the sheriff, and myself.
Wait, okay, you got 3 in the room.
4.
And then, yeah, but you're the presiding, but you don't vote.
Okay,
So 3 in the room, and then myself, JC, and Mark, that's 6. So now we need to get there should be a list of the grand jurors that we picked at that meeting last week.
right.
Okay, so the first 3 that are present, so we start with number 1 and see if how many people do we have from that are there?
Laura,
No one,
We don't have nobody.
no one has been present. We mailed out 12 letters. We received 1 with a yes, 2 with a decline, and 1 was returned by mail with the wrong address.
okay,
So we have 0 public members?
Yes, sir, no public members, even the one that said yes is not here.
Okay,
okay.
you said you did have Mary, David,
The sheriff,
and the sheriff, okay?
what would constitute the quorum, Mr. Guerra?
There's no requirement for a quorum, but in order for the issue to go to commissioner's court, it would require 6 votes. So we have 6 people present. So for this to pass after the presentation, it would basically require a unanimous vote because there's only 6 here. You know, that's why we had that meeting last week and we drew, you know, and we said, let's draw them all because we've had problems in the past getting the 3 to show up. So we picked 3 and then 9 alternates. So it's just amazing that we get 0 response on that.
That's just, and these are jurors that were pulled, or people that were pulled from the jury list, correct, Mr. Guerra? Mr.
They, by law, they have to be members of the grand jury in the preceding calendar year. So we went to the 2020 list of grand jurors, and we didn't just pick the 3 that we needed and 3 alternates. We picked 3, and then everybody else was an alternate, the other 9. So.
Okay, so
we basically we proceed and then we vote. And so I guess if there's nothing else on the agenda, Mr. Long can make his presentation.
okay, one other clarification before we proceed. So in order for this to have been, or when we get to the point that we vote, there should be a certain number, a percentage of number of the grievance committee, correct? So for it to be moved along to the commissioner's court, but I believe.
Right. The way it works is there's supposed to be 9 people on this committee. Okay. We're going forward with 6.
Right.
The elected official makes his presentation, and then the members present will vote to approve his grievance or to deny his grievance. Okay. Now, there's at a minimum to go to commissioner's court, it requires 6 affirmative votes.
Okay.
Okay. That's all we've got. 6, 7, or 8 affirmative votes means that it goes to the commissioner's court with a positive recommendation, but it's not binding. If you get 9, if we had 9 people here and it was unanimous 9, then it goes to the commissioner's court and it's binding on them. They have no discretion.
No discretion.
Right.
And that would be the final vote. That's what I wanted to clarify.
If we had 9 people here, but we don't. So
basically, we vote on it and we move it along to the commissioner's court. Okay. For recommendation. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Guerra, for that breakdown there. And at this time, Mr. Long, if you'd like to go to the podium and address the committee.
Can you all hear me on this thing?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Guerra, I have one question this morning. It was brought to my attention that I can only address the salary grievance. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I contacted the Texas Association of Counties and the Texas Local Government Code 152016. It says you can, who is aggrieved by settling the officer's salary or personal expenses.
That on the, you're talking about the travel?
Pardon?
You're talking about the travel?
Yeah, because.
Well, everything that's listed on the budget that was presented by the commissioners that I have a grievance on, that's what I was attempting to address. And that's the reason I clarified after I talked to you this morning.
But this morning, you made a request for the budget review workshop for the amount of miscellaneous for postage. That goes along with your presentation as a at the workshop. What this grievance is about salary.
Well, when I listed the grievance, according to the government code, it's salary or personal expenses. And that's the reason those were personal expenses this morning that I also issued. So I'm trying to clarify.
Not postage and stuff. That's not personal expenses. That's office expenses.
In the constable's budget, yes.
Yeah. But when you say personal, that doesn't reflect what this section says. Because that is not personal. That it goes in accordance with your office. So what the article says personal, it doesn't reflect to what this is. So all we can discuss here is the salary, I think.
Yeah. And
I think I'm looking up, I think it's a legitimate question about the travel, because that may be something this committee has jurisdiction over. I'm reading go ahead and get started. I'm reading an attorney general's
the
opinion.
only thing that I agreed to look in a little further deeper, because I believe that, and the sheriff's correct, that the postage and those other requests that you were trying to submit.
Yes, sir.
Part of the grievance, that went to the workshop aspect.
Well, that's the reason when he said this morning, I wasn't for sure what all I needed to address.
So now the question is on whether.
What do I address here?
Or expenditures, I guess, or travel would be involved in the salary realm of the request you're trying to make, if that would fall under that salary cap. So I guess he's trying to confirm that.
Okay.
We only have jurisdiction over 2 and 3.
Right, but Mr. Guerra's gonna confirm that, whether that falls under, whether
Okay.
that travel falls under the salary.
Well, because I wasn't clear. That's the reason when I called them, they said it
Is
covers
that what it
every.
reads on the statute? Because if it does say that I didn't even, I had.
Yeah, it says personal expenses. So I would say that that travel is included.
Okay, then that's that.
But what I meant this morning was that like the postage, the additional constable, the deputy constable, the data card, I think there was one other thing. The postage. Those had to go this morning. But salary and travel, I think this committee has jurisdiction over both of those issues.
Okay.
Long, you may proceed.
Okay, okay, for the travel, I've requested a travel allowance of 15,600 per my personal vehicle. The other constables all received 15,600, except for one constable, and he actually received 18,200. And it was, I think, 2 years ago, it was brought to my attention, well, that I have a county vehicle. I do. My reserve deputies drive that. I have 2 of them that work for my department for free. In May of 2016, the deputy constables for all departments were eliminated before any other personnel, before office staff, anything. Constable deputies were eliminated. We were doing very good on the north end of Jim Wells County with the additional patrol. I'm requesting at this time for that travel allowance for me, as the other constables get. Some of the other constables do have county vehicles at this time also. So therefore, they're getting travel allowance, have county vehicles. I am not getting a travel allowance and have a county vehicle. So I'm trying to get everybody on the same page so there's not a disparity on that amount. Like I said, one constable is actually getting 18,200 travel allowance plus fuel. So I'm not sure how that transpired, but that's for the travel. On the constable's salary, requesting 49,341 to match the other constable's salary. I tried to request that last year and didn't meet the deadline, so I'm requesting that again this year. Say all constables, when they were elected, I mean, they all do the same duty. Some do more, some do less. By law, all they have to be is bailiff of the court and serve civil process. What they do above that is betterment for the county. So therefore, I'm requesting that salary to be adjusted to 49,341.
Okay. Any questions, committee, or clarifications or anything?
Who does the maintenance? Who pays for the maintenance on those 2 other vehicles you have?
I just have one vehicle, my own and the one for the county. I do the own maintenance on them myself. I don't even charge the county for the oil, anything that I do on them. That's all comes out of my pocket. The tires come out of the Jim Wells County pocket. As far as the general maintenance, I do that myself. That vehicle was purchased in 2013 and is still in very good shape.
So,
Sorry, Judge.
no, go right
I
ahead.
don't have the amounts of the other constables to see the difference or the salary difference that is on each one of them.
Salary differences go all the way from the 40.
Who are the constables that are making more than you?
2 are. 2 constables are making more amounts. The other 3 are making the same amount, the lower amount.
Who are the 2 that make more?
Right here.
Precinct 1 is making more and precinct 6 is making more.
There is a little disparity in the difference there. And that, let me explain how that works, because over time, there's been different constables and the budgets were adjusted. So the disparity there, just like what we addressed earlier in our budget, that there are some disparities and differences, and that's because some constables have been there longer and than others, and so that's, as these budgets have never gone back to a base pay whenever somebody else comes in, which probably that's more to the constables and the JPs, depending on what precinct of how large they are, which that should not affect anybody else, but that's where there's a disparity. There's a little difference there, and I mean, we can look at it here, Sheriff, if you'd like to look at the difference here. Did you see the difference?
For the salaries,
Precinct one, yeah, what's the difference with one and your?
precinct one is actually making 49,341. And mine is 40,159.
Okay, and the difference on the travel, or like you said, there's
Travel, I have zero.
travel.
Zero.
And
Precinct one has 15,600. Everybody one has 15,600 except for me. And then precinct six has 18,200. He makes more than anybody.
precinct six constable.
Constable, yes, sir.
Right.
And that's where the difference is, Sheriff, in the
I believe
differences.
it was when Mr. Salinas was out and precinct 6 had to do all the work.
Right. So that's where those adjustments happened during those budget times, and it never got adjusted again. It has never been readjusted, and this has been over time. So all we can do, Sheriff, I guess right now is look at, and it is what it is on those budgets. And you want to take a look at it real quick and see the difference? And go through and just see more or less. He does confirm that.
Yeah, precinct one makes 49,000. Bartolo in six makes, I think, 43,000, and then 3, 4, and 5 all make the same, 40,159.
Yes, sir.
And in regards to the travel, it's never been.
Constable Long's the only one that doesn't get travel. Everybody else gets the same except for Bartolo, who gets like 2,000 more than the rest. And I think this is before my time, but I think the explanation for that is that at one time Judge Gino was hearing the truancy cases, and Bartolo was serving papers, so they bumped him up on both sides, on the salary and on the travel.
Okay, but on the travel, there's no reason. I don't understand. I mean, there's never been any trouble there.
There was, but he had his own. He had a county vehicle. Everybody else was, but that's changed now. That has changed now because there are some other offices, constable offices, that have county vehicles and are still receiving travel.
Okay, well then I guess.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, Mr. County Attorney. They've got county vehicles and they're still getting travel?
Yes. I confirmed that with the auditor over the lunch hour.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Well, like Sheriff, even on my vehicle, my truck has 433,000 miles on it. Not patrolling that, I haul people to jail in that. The Tahoe that I have is what my deputy was driving when I had the deputy until 2016. Since then, I've hired 2 reserves, and that's what they drive. The only time I drive that Tahoe is probably on a funeral procession when I have advance notice. Other than that, I use my vehicle. It is lighted up. I have radar. My laptop's in there. That's what I patrol it.
Okay, so obviously we have some disparities there, and they haven't been addressed or looked at again to come back to some equity and some kind of, never has been, and this has been going on, so I don't know. We're gonna have to kick that to the commissioner's court. So Sheriff, do you have any more comments, or Mary?
Just, here, this year is gonna be Jim Long, next year is gonna be another constable saying, well, now I want 15,000 more, and before you know it, we're always gonna be unbalanced as to who makes more than who.
Yeah, and
It's not fair for anybody, because we don't know. I still can't understand how you can have a county vehicle and still get travel expense. I don't know how you do that.
I think what's happening, Sheriff, is that the county vehicle is set aside for the deputy constables that work. I don't think they're not on our payroll, but they do carry their license and they work under the elected constables basically for free. So the county vehicles, as I understand it, are supplied to those deputies so that they can get around. Reserves. I mean, sorry, yeah, the deputy constables, yeah. Or
The
reserve.
reserve, well, that was understood, but there is still some disparity there in how many deputy reserves one has and the other has, and what vehicles and the number of vehicles and of course, the travel.
Yeah.
That's one thing, because you're paying for that out of your own personal salary, correct? And that's where that's where the disparity is. It's not, and also in the number of, maybe that answers your question, Sheriff. I'm trying to think about it here, how they developed this formula way back when, and the only thing that hasn't happened is start removing and adjusting those things, but that's something that needs to be addressed also with what we mentioned earlier also about clerks that have been with us for 18 years are still at poverty level rates, when there's others that have been way lot less, and that'll come on another time. But I know what you're saying, Sheriff. There is that confusion when it comes to the number of vehicles each constable may have, and any maintenance or any upkeep regarding those vehicles, and then your salary or your travel allowance that would also be included as part of salary. That's what it's technically would fall under. But I don't see no reason, and you've never had. There was a time there, I know you brought it before, you mentioned it before at one time or another, maybe some years behind, but sometime before. But as far as your salary or your travel, have you ever addressed that before?
My office has never received a travel
Had you ever
allowance.
addressed it before to the commissioner's court?
I've tried last year, but I was too late on the
Okay,
grievance.
we understand that, but prior to that, you'd never addressed it. You've been there for some time. You've never addressed it before?
No.
Never. Okay, well, now we're addressing it, I guess, and so you had never addressed it because it was okay, or? That's what I'm trying to get at. Was there
Well,
another arrangement back then?
I'm comparing all the different budgets to the other constables, and this isn't quite kosher on my behalf.
I
That's
got
the reason I'm looking.
And my question was, since you've been there, you had not noticed it or checked it out or looked at it before?
I've looked at it, yes, and I've always said that doesn't look right.
But you never brought it to the commissioner's court, correct?
Well, until about 2 years ago, the other constables didn't have county vehicles.
Oh, I got you. So it's in the
Now
recent
they do.
years. Okay, I just wanted to get the timeline, more or less, when it started, how that's happening, because we don't have a history, I think, right now at my disposal right now, to be able to look at who had him, who didn't have him before. But like I said, last year I didn't hear anything about it, so this is the first time we're hearing about it.
Okay.
But this has been going on for some time. Like I said, you've been there, so you've never received travel,
Never.
and you never requested travel, and you've been there since when?
I've requested travel
When?
during the regular budget hearings,
That's what I'm asking is,
but not through a grievance.
okay, not through but you requested it through prior commissioner's courts in
Yes,
the
sir.
past?
Yes,
And
sir.
it was not granted?
Never.
That's what I wanted to clarify. So this is the first time that we're here. Okay, committee, any other questions? Mr. Guerrero, anybody have any?
Yeah, I'm ready. If no one has any questions, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, the sheriff might
I
have some.
just have a question. I just have a comment here. So you would go from 37,300 to 49,341? Is that what you're, is
The
that?
budget, I think it's for 40,100 and something, I don't,
The difference,
Would be $10,000 salary increase? Is that what you're asking?
it's not 10, no, sir. 40,149, I believe, 159 to 49,341.
the difference is, what's the difference? Here?
Pardon?
What's the difference, the number?
I have not totaled that out.
Oh, okay.
49,
I don't want to start
about
pulling out the
10,000.
calculator.
About $10,000.
About 10,000?
$9,577. That's what your increase would be on this request.
To match the salary of the other constable, yes, sir.
The next constable that comes in, which constable is that again that you were comparing it to?
Precinct 1.
Okay, But as far as, okay, so what we need to consider is the difference in the, I guess, look at all the differences there as far as,
I have a
Two different
question. The
constables.
difference between one and you is that one has a lot more area to
Right.
cover
Mhm.
than what you have.
Right.
And
population wise and,
right,
and square
right.
miles and all
so
that.
that's one of the reasons, most probably, that one gets more salary than the other smaller towns.
Well, like I say, we're very active in traffic enforcement, narcotic enforcement, very proactive with the people in our area.
Yeah.
We actually work all the way past Alfred, almost to Alice on cases. I mean, we help quite a bit.
Yeah, and there's no question.
The sheriff
about that.
calls and I do go help.
That's not no question, there's no question regarding that. The only thing that we don't have is some type of plan in place that we can go by. It's never been developed, some kind of salary equity, some kind of system in place. So we gotta kind of look at this, and that's why everything's kind of off in the different varying salaries that there are, and budgets that are out there that needs to get back in line. But I do concur with Ms. Lozano, and I don't know if we could figure out some type of formula here really quick to determine. I mean, all we can do really, Sheriff Mary, is consider this, and we don't, I don't know if we have to come up with a number at this time to either come up with or agree with the entire amount at this time, or with some semblance of a percentage or something. This is the way it works. And so, because the Commissioners Court ultimately are gonna be the ones that we'll vote here.
Yes, sir.
Recommend that to the Commissioners Court, and then we look at the numbers, and we have a little better chance to figure out maybe a percentage, Sheriff, you know what I mean? Rather than agree to the whole thing, because we can just recommend at this point. Mr. Guerrero?
Do you ask council, we have to do a number, or can we just recommend the item?
Okay, Mr. Guerra, do we have to recommend a number here, or go with a whole what he's requesting, or can we just, or we don't have that authority to negotiate here?
I think you can approve it in whole or in part. I mean, it doesn't matter, because there is a provision, there's some provisions that you can actually do something different than what's being requested in the outline that we get from TAC.
I'm not familiar with this. We don't do this very often. And that's why I'm saying I don't want to make any decision or negotiate here. And I'm not, like I said, do we just, the recommendation is going to be what he's requesting, that's it? Like you said, you wanted a motion so we can move on, or?
If everybody's done with their questions, I can.
Any other questions here that we made? Mary? No other questions for me?
Okay, then Judge, I move that with regard to the request for salary increase on behalf of Constable Long, that we deny that portion. And I also move that we approve the travel allowance in the amount of, let me see here, $15,600. So deny the salary, approve the travel is my motion.
I have a motion on the floor.
I second the motion.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed?
Aye. We need to make sure, because we need a count, because if we don't have 6.
You have 3 here.
1, 2. I need to hear Mark and Mr. Gettis.
I'm voting in favor of my own motion, yes.
I guess. Can I hear Mark?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Two.
hear Mark, Mr. Gettis?
JC?
He's not an member. Mr. Pettis is not there?
Okay, we have 3 ayes in the room, and then we got, what else, Nora?
And we got 2 more, well, Mr. Guerra and Mark.
Okay.
Here from Mr. Pettis, but
We need to find Mr. Perez so he can vote, because 5 votes is not enough. It's going to fail unless, where's Mr. Perez at?
he's at a conference. in Round Rock, but he was gonna be on Zoom. He's,
Well, see if you can get him on.
okay,
Otherwise, the motion's gonna fail.
okay, sir.
This is kind of like last year, we had to go get a jailer from across the street to make.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Así pasa. But I think. Still need to remove, discuss the American Rescue Plan from the budget on other matters. Porque es muchas, ¿no? There's a lot going on. Yeah. Right?
I'm texting him.
It shows that he's on, right?
But I think it's this, right? It's that, okay.
Oh, it's this here? It's not that.
Let me call him.
Mr. Guerra, if we cannot reach Mr. Pettis, what's our, it dies for a lack of a
For not having, it requires 6 affirmative votes to go to the commissioner's court as a discretionary item.
We're at the meeting for the grievance, and there's a motion on the table to, the increase of 15,600, I'm sorry, the travel, approve the travel only, but not the increase. And we need you to vote this.
That was a motion by Mr. Guerra and it was seconded.
And it was second, and we need you to vote, sir.
And we have,
Put you on speaker, is that okay?
Yeah, we're gonna have to put him on speaker.
Okay, one moment, sir.
and we have all, do we have ayes?
Okay, we need yay or nay, sir, for the travel of 15,600. Nay. He said nay.
Okay, so it's 5-1 then?
5-1.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay, so,
if there's no other business, I'll move to adjourn.
okay. I have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
Tomorrow we leave this here, Judge?